They can see live dancing.
This is more science. I woke up about 9:45, just another day in my life to make it. Even though my face can't really be shaved yet, I'm patient. Brush my teeth in the basin. Grew up, flew up to 6 foot Cinco. Through rooms I ducked, my head hit shingles. Felt like yesterday I had to climb and take a tinkle, but now I bow my head for the sprinkles that hit my head. So many changes that I live drunk and red, don't really make it. I'm really done with let some niggas shaking. I'm tired of looking through the eyes of the Satan. My denials, my lies find me trapped with temptation. Mirror, mirror on the wall, I fear I'm about to fall. Life ain't fair when I'm out the yard. In the dark I see fear, I see flares as I hear the roar. My fears keep straying from the law. Some things I'm praying for, better days. Celebrate with real family holidays, like all the days I slept. Gotta seize that, gotta ease back, gotta clean my mess. Back to reality, what do I see?
It's your man JB.
Where I'm from, domicile in free place. Canaanland, B-town in the North Gate. Kept up indigenous to this land, this rat race. Original, kept up in this rat race. I've been awake more since I was a little child. Kundalini open, decal my P down. I self-floated master, I'm the boss. The Albion's where I'm from, be the outlaws. They taught us his time, history. But truth is stories, allegory. My people still stuck in stress. I'm thinking about the Middle East. Where the hell's the Middle West? Get the 4th edition black law and read it till you're comatose. Look up words like black, it me paleo. I'm more similar to a bomb. I get the feel while you kick it like shalom.
It's on. It's on.
The first exhibit.
Hold on. So just one of the things I think is important, maybe what they would do in this other tribunals, I should go and at least take a look around, maybe just to make sure he's not in the building, just quickly.
Well, that's what Mufti is doing at the moment.
All right, I mean, you know, they would go and canvass to see if maybe Camry's standing out, no?
This ain't those tribunals.
All right,
Islam
just,
I bear witness that Grand Mufti is at the door on the lookout for the defendant if he arrives. However, it's 11:11. It's 11:15 presently. The defendant was notified to be here at 11 o'clock sharp and is not present. Therefore, we are going to commence with
proceeding.
It's on.
Islam.
The first exhibit.
Just because I, Omar Sharif Al-Bey, have been part of this. Part of what we followed too was the administrative handbook, which there are certain protocols that charges have to be put out in written form. The accuser has a chance to confront his, the accused has a chance to confront his accuser. This is why this is here. But even before that, we continued because we're trying to follow by the principles. We initially allowed, because there were whispers in the wind, and what we tried to do was still give him the benefit of the doubt, and that is where we then put an oversight situation in to try and sort of what would it be, to sort of offset this type of activity. I think there are certain things that we have to sort of put on the record. At that juncture, Camry was totally adamant about not having anyone watch over him. So these things I think need to be put out there, because we're about truth, love, peace, freedom, and all of those principles. And it needs to be said that we're not out here looking, this isn't a witch hunt. This is us finally at the end of a long process, year and a half of him ripping people off, for lack of a better word. And they called out for trial, and here trial is, and here the seats are. All right, so I just want, I think that stuff has to be put out there. We shut down the law department whenever it was shut down, and Camry continued on beyond that. So there's absolutely an absolute disregard for this. And then to follow up with that, also, this is government right here. This is our regency. He also had no respect for that. He also called Setnara, another Moor outside of this jurisdiction, to sort of circumnavigate us, trump us. And that is why we have Setnara on the phone here too. So that needs to be noted too. Setnara, we were supposed to have a Skype here with Setnara, but we couldn't get the password due to some other nonsense. But all of this has to be put out there. This is not us just sort of summarily trying to haul up a brother. We're trying to stop this injustice, and we're trying to put it out there into the ethers. So I think that that needs to be put out there. That's all the stuff behind the scenes. There's months and months of this stuff that we've been dealing with this crap about, culminating in someone being taken for $6,000 or $7,000. Absolute madness. And then the stuff being, every paperwork that he has created has been fraudulently done. As well as at the end of this, he's now trying to authenticate the birth certificate, which is absolutely another totally erroneous way to deal with this. So I just want to put that out to the grand body, that what you're sort of seeing here is just sort of the tip of the iceberg. And as I said, we've called this brother out. This brother's been calling us out to have trial, calling us out to have another body outside of us because he doesn't respect us. And we've created all of that. And here the seat is. And here, and this is the respect he has for this. Islam.
In other words, we have to finalize and say, like, right now.
You're saying this would be a judgment
What
set.
is the judgment? What we have done is we have sent out an expulsion letter to said party, Canaanland Bay, 3 weeks ago, to which we were told that we have to have a tribunal, which is what we're doing right now. We presented our evidence to the floor, to the body. The defendant is not present, as we could all see. So the judgment is being upheld in regards to the expulsion that we have already initiated into this matter.
And I think just to preface this,
Go ahead.
in the future, the expulsion letter would not be sent out beforehand. That was, let's say, something that we did preemptively. There was sort of a sense of real sort of wrongdoing here. So ultimately, that expulsion letter was wrong. But we also told Camry that the expulsion letter didn't have any validity. We need you here for trial.
And that's what we did.
So yeah, that's.
So basically, we're upheld in what we have already made a decision on, which was an expulsion because of the activities that he has been doing over the past couple of months. So it's upheld, he's expelled from the temple, Moor Science Temple of America, temple number 5. And basically we're just presenting it to the body.
As a cautionary tale, as well as, though, I'd like to preface this. Within this nation, I was talking to Cujo about this too. If supposedly you were in this de facto state and you did something wrong and you went to jail and you came out, you would then be back in society again too, having done your time, having done your so-called restitution and your rehabilitation. Ultimately, I was talking to Cujo about this too. Camry is a Moor still. At this point, he may be doing dirty Moor stuff. Let's be honest. And at this point, he can't be affiliated with us. There is still room for Camry if he can find his way back to this, to come back here. And that's where it says in that violations part, where he can appeal and ask to come back into the fold. I sense, and I think anyone who's been intimately involved with this, I think, plus his activity here and his lack of appearance, I think speaks to probably where his energies really are. But ultimately, this isn't some dictatorship. If Cameron wants to come here 6 months from now, part of what we thought, we were even thinking about this, in our mind, he would have to make restitution to these people. That's what happens. What? How? Well, first of all, the fiat would need to be given back. That would let's say be, as an example, that would be the first thing. That's what happens, let's say, out there too, right? Secondly, though, and we already know this, there would have to be a mountain for him to climb. You know what I mean? He'd be walking around on his knees, as an example, he would be walking around on his knees being humble for the next year. I don't know. I'm just saying that we're not above the fact that people can do wrong at times. As I said, this to me is a very egregious wrong. But I'm just putting it out there that this is not, as I said, he's still a Moor by bloodline. He's just not part of this regency. But also, there is, like anything, and this is even what the de factos do, you always got a chance for appeal, eh? That's one of those same rights in part of justice. He may have been in a car accident right now, right? He might be lying in a hospital right now somewhere. It may have some news and come in here and there could be another, right? But I mean, that would have to be proven and all that kind of stuff. The same stuff that goes on out there, sort of, that's mimicked out there. But I'm just putting it out there to all of us to let us know that this isn't some, what do you call it? This isn't some dictatorship that doesn't allow space and room to have justice really do its course, and the appeal process and all that kind of stuff, and the acceptance back into the fold if one can then deem himself worthy to come back in.
We're just making sure that, anybody that we meet, the whole thing is, when I ask you about paperwork, you didn't exactly know the whole specifics of the paperwork. So what Cameron should have did, his duty was teach you on how to be a guard yourself so that you don't need him. That's in a dynamic of a lawyer, right? Somebody helping get somebody else get out of a certain situation. I, self-law, and master is what we deal with. Right. You know what I'm saying? So he was supposed to teach you on how to deal with your own affairs. He wasn't supposed to deal with your affairs for you.
And just
you see what I'm saying? So there's where all this, all this fabrication and all this stuff starts to begin, because I took a camera to court, and the whole thing is I passed on information to help him, right? Amari here has helped me in certain paperwork, but if you ask me the paperwork specifics that Amari has given me, I can tell you point for point what it is. If you don't know, unfortunately, he led you on the wrong path, because you're supposed to know that's what studying is all about. You're supposed to study yourself. We want you to go to court as our bloodline and stand your square and know how to deal with things yourself.
Make a small correction of whatever in terms of what I'm trying to communicate here. I refer to the fact that many of us when we placed in a bigger box, there's the us and there's the them, which in fact it's all of us. I just want to make sure that I'm getting what I'm saying clearly across. So, but I'm fully cognizant of what you're saying, because what we as Asian Asiatic people have done. But the educational system has boxed. Let me be very specific. People in the English-speaking have boxed it. Understand who's coming from the outside, and then you see it. If you're in it, you don't see it. Right. I can see it because I'm outside in it. Right. And the first thing I was told when my mathematics science and all of you, get strong with subjects. The first thing I was told when I entered.
Can you just hold on for a moment? I can't hear you. I really want to hear what you have to say. The birth certificate is a made-up instrument
Yes.
to be used in the North America, let's call it, versus your proper status. So because they didn't want to recognize your status, they gave you a false name, basically, in the form of this birth certificate. Or is it that they created this birth certificate so that they could then have an instrument of monetary funds to continue with defrauding people?
Right. So okay. So the second part is what's happening
Yeah.
in that. The second part was what's happening in the background
Okay.
amongst the MPs and the MPPs and the minister of this and the minister of that and the prime minister and the queen and whoever. What the
Right.
second part that you said, that's what's going on in the background.
Okay.
As far as the instrument is concerned, the individual going to the office, filling out the form and getting the instrument, right?
Right. So
That
then, okay,
that is
if you were
what
to have a child today, in today's 2017, are you saying at that point to, instead of registering the child through the system, instead of creating this fraudulent person,
you let the child be who they are? Because the real registering of the birth is really going to be done between the parents.
right?
The state has nothing to do with that. The
Okay.
province has nothing to do with that. The country has nothing to do with that.
So then to take on, okay, so where would that child then state that they are Moor?
The parents going to state that.
Okay, so then if the parents are stating that they are Moors, then
Then until
how would they then create? How would then they create or have? Because he had showed some card. He had some card that he was saying that he could go into whatever store and he wouldn't have to pay the taxes on it.
yeah, but that's a nationality card. You're
Okay.
that's just that identifies that you're part of a nation.
So would your child then have to have that nationality card versus a birth certificate?
Not until they reach the age of majority, where they're going to need identification. Prior to that, they have a guardian. Who's the parent? Just like right now.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
You
do.
know,
Yeah.
right?
I'm just trying to get it clear in my mind as to the bureaucracy, I guess, of how it's being broken down. Like,
No,
how would that
okay,
child
but-
be registered for school, and how would that child be? It's really
because
conforming to North America
Right.
standards.
Right, but remember that what you call North America standards is really colonial standards.
Okay.
Because the people that you're talking about are what we would say quote unquote white people. Right? Okay. Well, quote unquote white people don't come from America. They come from Europe.
Right.
So in order for them to have jurisdiction in land that's not theirs, right? They created the illusion that they're the government when they're really a private corporation. And then everybody went with the fact that these Europeans who are not from America are the government.
I get that too.
And they acted on what power the people gave them. So you're coming to the realization now that you can't be part of that because you're not European.
Right.
Like if you're not European, if you're Chinese, you're gonna go to the Chinese government to go get a passport. You're not gonna go to the European government to get a passport if you're Chinese. Matter of fact, if you go to China, you won't see a European anything there.
Like embassy-wise.
Because they don't have jurisdiction. Because China is for Chinese. And to be part of there, you have to be part of that nation. United States is not a nation, it's a corporation. Canada is not a nation, it's a corporation.
Corporation, yeah.
And they're in your land. Because you're the Aboriginal and Indigenous people here. You were here before they came here. Matter of fact, they say that when they came here, they met you here. In their history books, they say that. So it's already established that somebody was here when they came here.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
All right. Now, the first birth certificate was when they made Hebrews or Israelites and Moors be classified as Indian and then be classified as black people.
That makes sense, yeah.
That was the first creation of the fictitious name or the fictitious card or the fictitious document or the fictitious instrument used by an individual to identify themselves.
Okay.
Because we're not black people. We're not Indians. We are not those things. But if they can get us to think that we are those things, now they have jurisdiction in all of our affairs.
That makes sense.
Because the names that we have, that's on the birth certificate or the license or the whatever it is, right? More than likely is a European name.
Wow.
So they had us, so we were in power over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Using lower vibratory people, thinking people on our side against us, right? They were able to make us think that we're something that we're not, and then they act as a substitute for us as the rulers.
Okay. So on this website, do I need like a password or anything to get into it?
No,
Or
it's free info.
anybody can use to research it?
Free
And
info.
all what you're saying is there.
All what I'm saying is there and way more.
Okay.
Right? To the point where the fact that they didn't give you that website shows their callous disregard for your livelihood. Because that's the first thing. That's the first thing they should have given you.
Yeah, he's just really spewing the whole money aspect of it and not paying your bill and
which that's not what this is about.
Kind of spewing.
And that's not what this is about, because really and truly, let's just say that the birth certificate is worth an unlimited amount of money or whatever, right? And that when you look at the birth certificate, at the bottom or on the back, there's going to be a number on there.
Right.
And that number is connected to an account. That's unlimited for you to discharge debts and for you to do all this stuff, right? Right?
Right.
If a bond, quote unquote bond, right, is unlimited, but a bond in law is also identified as a debt instrument. How much credit do you have?
Currently?
No, just based on that scenario. That the scenario is somebody's telling you, right?
How much credit you could have.
Somebody's telling you that it doesn't even matter how much you could have. There just is an unlimited amount.
Right.
Right? But in law, a bond is a debt instrument. DEBT, debt. A bond is a debt instrument.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How much credit do you really have if a bond is a debt instrument?
You'd have none.
Oh, okay.
Because then again, it's a play on words too, is what I've understood as well. Like different words mean different things in the
No, but see,
dictionary.
but see what they don't want to tell you, right, is that the real bond is your nationality. Because the same way that that he can go to a store with the card that he has that he got from us, you should ask him, hey, where did you get that card from? But that's another story. But just keep that as a sidebar. Right? Ask him where he got that card that he has that he uses to get taxes off, and how come he's not telling you.
I had asked him that.
Oh.
I did ask him where he got the card and how is it that he's come by it, because he says that that's the only thing he needs.
Yeah, so how do you get it? How do you get it?
He said that he got it. Oh, it comes with the application. So when you...
It comes with which application? Which application?
To change your status. When you change your status, that's when you receive the card.
The application that he's giving you, right?
Correct.
So he has an application that he's going to be giving you and
doing on your behalf.
Or doing on your behalf, signing it or whatever like that.
Right.
And when you fill out that application, that's the start to how you get the card.
Right.
So the filling out the application is part of the process for you to get to the place where he's at, supposedly, to, discharge debts and do all this stuff.
Right. Okay. And apparently, well, I guess it's somewhat true, because he did say in order for you to somebody's saying something over here, sorry. In order for you to get that card, you have to change over everything with the government. So when you call into Revenue Canada, you have to actually, a portion of it, I can't remember exactly what he's saying.
All right, okay, so let's, okay.
Revenue Canada,
all right.
And then
Hold on a second. So let's stop for a sec. All right. So you forget how much ever money that you paid or whatever, right? So you proclaim their nationality, right? So you're a Moor now, right? And you have this card, right? And they're saying that what you're going to do is you're going to go to those people and then you're going to get them to change everything into this name that's on this card that really identifies you now.
Well, you choose your name, apparently, according to him. Like you do the research.
Yeah, but what are you gonna change? What are you gonna change? Like, what instruments are they saying that you're gonna change?
Well, he's saying that they change. It's not that you're changing. You are disassociating yourself from your social insurance number. You're disassociating yourself from your driver's license. Yeah. You're disassociating yourself from your passport.
Right.
All of the government issued documents.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Okay, so let me ask you a question, right? How come you didn't disassociate from the birth certificate?
See, that I had asked the same question, because if you need your birth certificate in order to get these things, how are you then cashing or changing your birth certificate to this $1 million certificate, but have to give up everything else? I did ask that question.
All right.
And it was kind of left in the dark, because
because there's no answer. Because that was checkmate. That's why. Because that was checkmate.
Yeah, he actually just avoided the question. He was just like, well, that's where the teaching comes in.
Of course. And then, of course, you're going to have to pay for the teachings.
Right.
Okay, well, you know what I mean? He didn't pay for the teachings because I taught him. He didn't pay for no teachings. As a member, you pay your monthly dues of whatever it is that you can pay. The limit is $25. Nothing under that. That's just what it is. You know what I mean? Whoever wants to pay, they do. Whoever doesn't, whatever. But, we've been doing what we do. You know what I mean? There's outside people from here who support us 100 that they send money where they're at to here for us to keep doing what we're doing.
Okay.
Because
honestly, my biggest thing with him was the fact that I'm like, listen, I'm at a point right now in my life where money is not lucrative, so maybe he would have caught me if I had the money at the time, but I just started questioning everything, like, okay, why is everything money driven? And why is it that if we are people that are trying, if you're a person that is trying to educate people on how, of what their rights are and what they actually are owners of, why are you charging to give us that information if you want all of your people to be on board with the same thing that you're doing? Why are you charging for that information?
But again, you know what I mean? Forget charging. You're talking to his teacher.
I realize.
Forget charging. We can't. He can't even go into any subject matter before he deals with. Where you get this information from? Like, who taught you?
See, when I was asking him, when we had asked those things, so then my whole thing is, I kept saying, I need to know where to get the information that you've gotten. It's got to be somewhere. So if it's in a book, let me know the book so that I can go and go get this book and research it for myself. The only book that he actually told me about, and he was like, oh, it's very difficult to get, was the Black Dictionary.
Yeah, that's crazy. Cause
so I'm like
that's
okay,
not.
But that's just a mix on words. I said, outside of the words and meanings of words, I said, so basically in a conversation when I'm talking, I have to look up every single word before I use it. I said, that's kind of ridiculous.
No, and
people don't do that.
No, well, look again, right? That they're accustomed to dealing with dumb niggers that have issues, right?
And I guess at the time I was, because I did have the issue at the time was monetary issue. So
right,
of
exactly.
Course it now becomes more of a not even a need.
Yeah, try to get out of something. Yeah. Like something's going on, you get out of it. Some guy says 5,000, you get out of it. Okay, fine. Here's 5,000. Show me how to get out of it. That doesn't solve anything, no matter what you're dealing with.
Right.
Know what I mean? No different than you tell the guy, you just call in the number in the phone book, come fix the sink, and then, you know what I mean? You're flooding.
Yeah.
Right? And you paid. Right?
Wow.
So now from the inside, right? From the inside, because I want to just put it on the record that for the past 17 minutes I've been recording you and our conversation, right?
Okay.
Because it's proving that anybody who thinks is not going to get played. And this is a theme. This is a theme in our lessons. The theme in our lessons is that there's opportunistic people out here that call themselves Moors, that wear fezzes and they got Moroccan flags up and they call themselves Moorish and all this stuff. But every European is not your enemy and every Moor is not your brother. Because some of your own brothers are going to put you in slavery. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been dealt with this. You know what I mean? Like I said, like we had tribunal and all that. And they were found guilty at the tribunal. And then we're still dealing with this stuff that they were even in the tribunal for. We're still dealing with it. You know what I mean? Because it's always going to come back. You know what I'm saying? Like it's always gonna come back because we're the nucleus. Like we're the source. You know what I mean? Everything's gonna be drawn to the center. No matter how scattered it might seem. You know what I mean? That they got some Moorish law BS going on. They don't got no Moorish law nothing. Ain't no Moorish law something. You know what I mean? Like Moorish law is abstract. That's not a tangible thing, a building. You know what I mean? Because I self law am master. You know, law is self.
And it's interpretation as well.
Right? Perspective. If you have the wrong perspective, then anywhere you go is wrong from that point.
Right.
you don't have a right position if your perspective is wrong from the start.
Yep.
Right? And then that's how they get people. Because they know that people are coming in with a wrong perspective. Like this thing is so vast that, like, no wonder people are getting hit for 5,000 for some papers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, like you say, it's desperation. You know what I mean? But you know, the real lesson is God only helps those who help themselves.
Yep, that's true.
So if you're not helping yourself, then what are you looking for handouts? Okay, ain't no handouts coming. They don't, just like we said, there's no, you know what I mean? There's no unlimited account or whatever that you're gonna get rid of all your debts that you ran up. You know what I mean?
That didn't make any sense. Like,
right.
just the explanation of that, and again, using the house as the culprit, you know? Now
again, in the most simplest form, right? That is a reality because this is a debt system.
But it's the process in which to get there.
No, it's a debt system. Like it's no, but the system itself is a debt system. What we're looking at with the birth certificate and these people who say that they're government or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're a debt system. They don't have any credit. They've been in debt
Mm-hmm.
because they've never had gold or silver past 1929 in North America.
Yeah, they're still trading it.
Right, but they'll trade it, of course, because it's about the people not getting their hands on it. Let the people play this little game with this paper stuff that has no value, and it's the people's blind faith in it that gives it value, like a placebo, right?
So then he was also talking about when you get into trouble with the law, say, so you get a mischief charge, let's say.
Yeah.
And you are brought into court, and you start the process as a Canadian, and then halfway through you change your status to be a Moor.
Mm.
I was trying to find out, okay, how exactly, because he was just like, yeah, you just need to change your status. If you change your status, then
that is what it is. But it's a mindset. It's not something you're doing.
As a Canadian citizen, you went in.
No, but
as a Canadian citizen.
Yeah, but remember that's
tried as that Canadian citizen.
But remember,
now that you changed your status.
But keep in mind.
And you say to them, okay, I've changed my status. You no longer have jurisdiction over me and your
Okay, hold on.
How do you stop the process?
Okay, hold on.
He couldn't explain how do you then stop the process
Right.
and start the process from to status.
But hold on, right? They are foreigners in land that's not theirs.
Right.
So they're in violation just by being past the seaboard and in the mainland. Forget about what laws they got. Right?
No, but I'm saying if you started in, okay, yesterday
no,
you
listen, understand again, right?
Okay.
You're saying Canadian citizen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Canada is a private corporation.
That's right. You did say that.
Canada is not a country that has citizens. Canada has employees. It's a corporation, just like Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
A Walmart employee is not a citizen of Walmart. Their ID in Walmart, they're not going to use their ID in Walmart to go drive.
Right.
Right? Because a corporation doesn't work like that.
Okay, so because you've already been in the corporation, you've already accepted the corporation law, how do you then
Was the acceptance of the corporate law voluntary or involuntary?
Well, it was voluntary because when you first when you first start when you first started the legal process, you were, you know what I mean? Like you didn't know.
Right.
So now that you know and you're trying to get out of it, like what's the?
No, because status is the first issue at law, right?
Okay.
Because status is the first issue at law.
Okay.
The people who are in controversy should both put their status on the record before anything happens, right?
Right.
So usually what would happen is there was a all rise, and then this guy presents his status, judge, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Then he sits down, right? And then he's going to say a name, and then somebody's going to stand up and come up front, right?
Right.
That person didn't put their status on the record. They agreed that they were whoever this guy said that they were. Which again is going to be the all capital letters name, which is not really a person, like a living being. It's just something on paper.
Right.
In order for them to have jurisdiction in your life and do anything to you, and you have no recourse or remedy.
So whenever you see your name written in all caps,
That's not you.
that's okay.
That's a private corporation, has nothing to do with you. That's part of the $58 trillion debt that US and Canada owe to China, that they didn't even start paying on the interest yet.
Wow.
But they're talking about you got some unlimited account of credit when they owe 80 trillion or whatever to China.
Yes.
Where they get credit from? What unlimited credit account you talking about when they owe 80 trillion to China? And they haven't started paying on the principal yet.
Wow. Ignorance, boy, really is bliss.
Right, but again, remember, that's private corporation. That has nothing to do with the natural indigenous aboriginal people, because they're doing their own stuff over here. They don't have nothing to do with that. Unless they choose to be involved with that by claiming birth certificates and playing around with these instruments that have nothing to do with them, that they're going to say, separate from those instruments and whatever like that. But then they're going to say, well, put your Moorish name on them. And then they're going to say, well, separate from it, but only do it with the birth certificate, because the bond and the playing people.
Money. Yeah. Yeah.
Playing people. And people just getting played.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Right, so
Actually, it makes a lot more sense. How you've explained it.
again, back to, so the individuals who are dealing with the controversy, they have to be put on the record. And then when they're put on the record, then you could get into subject matter or jurisdiction. Right? And once you get in jurisdiction, then you can adjudicate, and then you could come to some type of conclusion.
He's explaining it to his law. He taught him. Huh? Oh no, he's gonna tell you about course? Okay. Michael explains to my brother, because my brother right now is in court.
Yeah.
For an issue. So it would actually be good for you to speak to my brother with that issue.
Yeah. Well, again, it's like, we know that the people that we're dealing with, right, that we have quote unquote issues with all the time, right? We know that they're colonial mercenaries. They kill buffalo and stuff like that, like they don't care. Right? So they already choked people out on the corner, shot them in their car while they're getting recorded and all that stuff. So it's not about playing around with these people. You know what I mean? And it's about really picking your battles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're just dealing with somebody put a yellow thing on the window, $20, and there's no threat of jail time or nothing crazy, then practice with this. See what's good, because ain't nothing gonna happen if they find you guilty anyways. You know what I mean?
So then, okay.
But if this is something giant and you're looking at, you know what I mean, 20 years or something like that, and you come into this information and trials tomorrow. Don't get too serious about whatever, because they'll just throw the book at you, say that you're crazy because you're talking, out of place. You're talking not because of what you're saying, but because you're talking out of place. Because you don't have any jurisdiction. You didn't put your status on the record. You're just supposed to be good nigger. Now you want to talk up or whatever? All right, well then we're going to tie you to the post. We're going to whip you until you say Toby.
Literally, that's what it is.
Yeah, and it's going to be, are you going to be willing to take the licks, or are you going to say, you know what? I mean, they're going to throw the book at me anyways, so I might as well go hard and see what really happens. Because I heard about this thing, you know what I mean? And, I checked some of it out, and it seems pretty credible or whatever like that, you know what I mean? I'm not going on somebody's opinion or whatever. I'm going on, okay, I checked this out, and this seems legit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I checked out alkaline water to know that, okay, yeah. You know what I mean? High alkaline water is better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just what it is. Nothing to debate about. Right? So we're dealing with people who they have the guns and the jails and the whatever like that. In there is not cool. I'm not about going in there. Forget all that or whatever. You know what I mean? A little cell, you know what I mean, at the station or something like that. Some overnight kidnap me for 24 hours or something like that. Okay, I gotta deal with that. But you're not going to no big house for no 4 years because of some driving crap. And these guys just trying to impose their force because I know my rights, and they're not backing down because they've been doing this for the past 400 years. You've been niggers. And no way you're telling me that you're more right now. You know what I mean? And it's about how hard you're gonna stand on that you're more. What you willing to lose or risk?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's where the knowledge base comes in.
Exactly. Which is why this can't happen overnight. This can't happen. You have a situation, so me and you are gonna sit down and we're gonna get through the situation in a conversation on the phone one night. You know what I mean? That's crazy. That's like say, oh yeah, professor say, yeah, come to my house, tomorrow, and then, next day I'll give you your degree. You graduate. Right? That ain't happening. You get out what you put in.
Well, I've been looking, but even with the, and again, because he never gave me that website, it was almost like so that you don't have to depend on him. It's almost like he give you like two things. You get to research those. I would research those two things, but you couldn't go any further in your growth without him.
Right.
You have to have him in order to get the next step.
Exactly. And why do you have to have him? Because he's living off you. Mm-hmm. You're paying.
Yeah, you're right.
Right? Like I work. I got a job and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't no big deal to have to work. You know what I mean? People go overboard and off the grid and all this type of stuff. When, you know what I mean? It's really, it's not how they're portraying it. They're portraying it messed up for you to support their, you know what I mean, the habit.
Wow.
Because to be an opportunist is a habit. You know what I mean? Like alcohol or drugs or whatever. To say that like he has the same nationality card that I have, that I use the same number that he has to go get stuff. You know what I mean? No tax on stuff out here. You know what I mean? he has the same card. Got it from the same place where because we're the place where he got the card. And then he's not even sending you to us. When he has the card that he showed you, we set that up for him to get that.
Wow.
Like we received the mail that said Camry LB on it.
Wow. So
Right.
then with that card, is it that your office is making it, or you're actually sending it to another? Sounds like a.
Let's put it like this. Let's put it like this. If we're saying that we're a nation, that means that we're family.
Right.
So family looks out for family. So we are, we're looked out for because we're family.
Right.
Right? Just like we're looked out for, so we have access to that website as our online university for free. You don't even have to ask nobody no questions. The extensive nature of that website, you shouldn't have no questions whatsoever. That's how deep that website is. For free. That somebody somebody just took their time, you know what I mean, and put that together so people got some information with regard to this quote unquote Moorish paradigm.
Because even when you see the stuff online, like there's been a few YouTube documents that you watch,
Right.
and they're telling you. I think there was a book called Moorish or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The red. I can picture it, but I can't remember the actual.
Right, the actual name
title
of it.
and the author. Yeah. I can't remember that. I think it's just some red color with some man standing on the front of it. But even with that, like I went to him and I said, "Hey, have you ever heard of this book?" And he was like, "No." I'm like, "Okay, well, how do you know where the information? Like, how do I find out the authenticity of what you're saying to me? Like, there's no place to see if what he's saying is really correct. And then, okay, fine. Even though he's given me this website, I'm gonna go on the website. But then outside of that, I have to look and see if I find that somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Even though it's in the website, I can't just say, okay, that's it. The end all be all the information is here. Man wrote that. So if man wants to manipulate you, he can with that same information that's in there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but in regards to him and how he would, he kind of put a doubt in me now where, okay, you've answered every question that I've given you so far, so I'm not doubting who you are and what you say you are or your integrity. Not at all. Where it came to him, his integrity for me was, I didn't give him the full hoops that he should have gotten because I'd asked a question I couldn't get a full answer. So of course when you're dealing with doubt in your mind as to, okay, what is really the authenticity of this person?
Yeah.
And how much can you trust them? So that's where it kind of, and then of course my brother met Michael, and then he was saying to me, well, what was the name of the person that you were dealing with, blah, blah, blah. Because I had said it to my brother.
Yeah.
Well, after I met him, I'm like, you know what, you have this court thing going on. You really should talk to this guy because he can give you information on to how to get through this process from your actual heritage, your Moorish heritage. And my brother's like, what are you talking about? So I'm like, all right. When he met this gentleman, Michael, and he was explaining to him as well, my brother's like, maybe he's the same person that was trying for me to hook up with. So he called me from the accident scene and was like, hey, what was the name of the person? I told him he's like, a different guy.
That's crazy.
So when he said the guy's name, when he said Karen's name
crazy.
to Michael's like, whatever you guys are doing with that guy, you need to stop.
That's crazy.
So,
wow.
And then I was just like, well, why would he say such a thing? Like, if you're all in the same family, but my brother never called him back for me to hear, okay, well, this is all of the stuff that he was going through with him, or now basically what you've told me about him.
Right.
But since then, I've seen with my own two eyes the destruction that he is actually laying out.
Right.
So, very interesting.
Right, and Yeah, like so even on that level, because Mikael's like he's, you know what I mean? He's on our side of the fence. So
Right.
for him to be in contact with you and for your brother to connect with Mikael and you guys are talking about, hey, I found a guy to deal with your stuff and all that, and it's these two people, crazy. Like crazy. And that's how the higher forces work when, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right?
It truly is divine because I can tell you that the whole process of from when their accident happened, I had told my brother about the whole Moorish maybe 2 weeks prior,
Yeah.
and then they got into the accident, and then my brother actually met him, but my brother's very cynical when it comes to things like that.
Yeah.
So he was just like, nah. And he saw that, you know what, he didn't have a driver's license. And my brother saw how the officer treated him. That, you know, he literally let him go without a ticket or what. I think he may have gotten a ticket. I'm not sure. But
Yeah.
my brother's like, yeah, the officer basically just said, oh, okay. Because he went back and he looked at whatever in his computer.
Right.
So the only part of it now, so my brother's like, he's waiting to see what happens with the insurance company in terms of the how they deal with the car, because I understand that as a driver, you're saying you're a traveler, you're not a driver, you're not a passenger, you're a traveler.
Right.
But how does the insurance company do that?
No,
Right.
well, the idea is that if you're a traveler, then you would be insured in your own way, however that way is.
Right.
In our case, it would be us being
Pay for your damages.
the people that set that up. That's where something like a trust would come in.
That's where what comes inside?
Something like a trust,
Okay.
where people would pay into something, just like they do for insurance,
Right.
but it's collateral, you know, for if something happens.
Okay.
And then you would have your own slip that you got from your own body of indigenous people or whatever that these people who are foreigners here, don't forget, have to accept.
Right.
Because they're foreigners.
Yeah.
How are you gonna tell us what's a license? You know what I
Right,
mean?
and I completely get it. So that's the whole thing right now. I think that was one of the reasons why my brother was he was weighing it out to see, okay, well, the car thing gonna work now. So he was using the car, that example. He got away with not getting the ticket, but he wanted to see how
But
the
again,
insurance company was
no,
gonna deal with it.
no. But look at it like this too. That what if there's no insurance?
You know what? I don't know the details if there's insurance, if there was insurance on the vehicle or
No,
not.
no. I'm just presenting that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What if there's no insurance? Then there's no issue.
You're right.
Because if there's no ticket, there's no insurance going to be affected.
You just pay for your damages and you move on.
Right. And that's it. How it should be. You know what I mean? If I rear end a guy, my bad, you know what I mean? Sorry, I don't have insurance, but let me know what the bill is for the stuff, or I have a mechanic or whatever will fix your stuff.
Right.
I'll pay. Right? And then that's what it is. And that's it. But people have got caught up or trained or conditioned in this thing with the insurance, and you always need a middleman. You need a middleman between you and God. You need a middleman between you and your husband. You need a middleman between you and, you know what I mean, somebody having a accident on the street. You always need some middleman. No middleman needed. How about you just deal with it? You know what I mean? Right? And then remember, he didn't get the ticket because of his status.
Right.
Because his status is, I'm here before you, policeman. Like, who are you? What are you talking about? Ticket for what?
Right.
Like, what do you give me a ticket for? I'm not a driver, so I'm not in your jurisdiction. Right?
Right.
I'm not a Canadian citizen, which is a private corporate position. Nothing to do with a country or nothing like that. So I'm not in your jurisdiction. You know what I mean? I don't have a license on me. I don't have anything of you guys instruments on me, so I'm not just all right. And you check everything. You want to check the trunk, see if there's a body in there. You know what I mean? Go ahead. I give you consent. You can go search. You know what I mean? You're gonna find nothing.
So then, okay. So if you have you're not using the driver's license instrument that they've given you,
Yeah.
right? And you have insurance on your car. The insurance company is not going to cover it because the person that was driving the vehicle is not a instrument holder, a licensed instrument holder.
No, do you mean
why would
already?
you have that insurance then? Why bother paying into that insurance? And can you fight them?
No, it's not about fighting them. You just don't like it's either you're like if you're saying from the perspective of you went and got insurance and then you found out about this information, right? Nothing's wrong with having the insurance, but you can dissolve the license and just pay the insurance. But again, you know what I mean? Just like you said, they're looking at the license as the instrument to identify who they're dealing with.
Okay.
Because they're a corporation and they could only deal with a corporation. They can't deal with a living being. Because they're a corporation.
Oh, I hear you. Okay. Red light just went off.
Right?
Yeah, that was an aha moment.
Right.
Okay.
Right? Corporations could only deal with corporations.
Right. So then, okay, with the corporation, so the corporation wants to deal with the corporation of basically the driver's license.
Right.
Because there is no driver's license for that corporation now to deal with.
Exactly.
They're basically just saying, okay, well, we're not dealing with any of it because there is no other corporation for us to deal with.
To do it. You know what I mean? Which is where, you know, something like Moor Science Temple comes in, you know what I mean, where they would have a department that deals with that for its for its members.
So now the temple, is there enough members how many members is what I should ask you, is affiliated and registered with the temple?
Right now we have over 100 registered members, but maybe 40% are dues paying members.
Okay.
Right, and then the dues payers are the ones that make stuff run, because dues is what is gonna make the stuff run.
Right.
So if we got a member who, let's say, is he's in whatever position that's not destitute, and he has access to, say, you know, us having a building, like a real building, like how, you know what I mean, all these other Hindu, Muslim, whatever stuff have a building and there's schools in there and whatever it is there and there. If we have a member that's on that level, you know what I mean, then that member could use their connects to let us have a building. And that'll be how they pay their dues. Because, you know, you might not have finances, but you might have a connection on the guy who writes grants. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Who can,
so
you know.
a bartering system as well.
Yeah, like whatever it is, because remember, it's family. You're not, you know, whatever you do is for the whole, not for yourself.
Okay.
Whereas when you look at Camry and them, you know, what they do is for themselves, not the whole.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Right?
Got it. You'll be hearing from me again.
So, no worries, sis.
Because it's, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So if I have questions, I am going to put them your way if you don't mind.
Yeah, so, yeah, whatever, you know what I mean? This is my contact, so, you know, you call me or whatever like that. But, yeah, you'll just stick to that site and you'll be all right. Even with your brother too, what he's dealing with. You just hit that site up and you'll be squared away. You know, and all the stuff that they were trying to, you know, sell or whatever, you'll realize how much it's really abstract and it's really not a thing that somebody can give you like that.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're doing that should let you know that Yeah, something's up.
I just thought that, okay, so the next question for you.
Yeah.
Seeing that you have the corporation, you have the temple, not the corporation, sorry, you have the temple, and you guys have your members, they're contributing, 40% is contributing. Now, with that, say if we said, okay, let's use well, then again, you wouldn't, because you'd be on your own. You would be your own person to fight that. Forget it. I already answered it. I figured that one out. Okay.
Right.
Wow.
And then that's how it's supposed to. That's how, because nothing's wrong with questions.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if you can find the answer yourself, why ask?
Wow.
You know what I mean? And then if somebody can teach you how to retrieve information, you know what I mean? And dealing with right sources, right perspectives, right? You know, you wouldn't need too much.
You guys do courses, but not courses. But
we have classes on. Oh yeah, when were there classes?
Online class was Wednesday, and I think Saturday. It was on a Saturday.
Okay, yeah, because
Starting at, I think, like 8 o'clock in the morning and going for like 8 until 4 or something like that.
Yeah, and then you pay.
You know what? I never.
Well, not you, but like they charge for the classes.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Because when you go on, like log on to the Skype, whatever it was, then from there you would, I guess after you attended the class or before you, I don't know how he was doing it exactly, the charging part, because I went on to one, and I logged in everything, but it didn't actually, nothing was happening. So I logged into whatever WhatsApp Skype thing he had going on, but there was nothing, there was no teaching.
Yeah.
And then I just thought to myself, I don't have time to waste with that. Like I literally made time so that I could listen in on whatever was happening, and it didn't, nothing aired. So I was like, I'm not gonna set aside another Saturday for nothing to happen. So I never bothered to go back.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
That's one thing. I was like, yeah, if you can't respect my time, then
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, in this case, the time's on you. You know what I mean? When you want, there's the website. You go on there when you want. You want to go on there for 15 hours. You know what I mean? No sleep and all that stuff. Hey, go right ahead. The website's there. You know what I'm saying? You know, you want to nitpick at it? Hey, nitpick. You know, it's your stuff. But yeah. So once you're studying, you'll piece together some other stuff that he might have told you, that you guys might have talked about. You know what I mean? That you'll be able to see from the other side now.
Yeah, like it totally makes sense. The things that you've already said, it's cleared up a lot of the misconceptions that I had to begin with. Because it was interesting, and I enjoyed up to the point of just learning about the Moorish and the Spaniards, and you know the businesses that were stolen in Spain and all of, like, I went deep, and then when asking him about it, he couldn't answer a lot of the questions, and I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to get into this and I won't have anywhere to really get my answers from, is it really worth it? Because you can only go so far on the internet without them, without getting mixed up with, like, what is true and what's not true, basically.
And that's why we have that website. You know what I mean? Well, there they go, playing with it. Please.
Oh, the phone, I don't know what happened. The phone got cut off somehow.
So what we say when that happens is that's them.
You know what? When good information is being passed. Exactly.
Right? Exactly.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again.
2 weeks going on 3, I gave him a G. Said with these papers I could be sovereign and free like popes and King Henry. Sipping on Henny and pigs' faces, no matter the places. Travel rights, days and nights, cash in bonds on birth certs. Didn't tell me that birth is ERTH. Bottomry benefits of instruments in case things go bad. Gave me this number. I can't get through since he gave this number. Right now I'm pissed off, will break his wrists off. Dirty Moore's got me wanna cut lips off and teeth chipped off. Dirty thief using me to go through windows. Probably took my Fiat and bought Indo and Kush. Off the roof I would push, maybe shove. Time for justice, no love. Mush my hand in his face if I see him. No reply from emails. He stopped tweeting, but he's giving details on trust and executive status. Dialing the number, got my fingers callous. Dirty Moor packets selling cheaters. Rob you with no conscience, cognizant, not sleepers. And well aware, that's motive local. Plus they changed the corporate name and logo.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again. We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again.
They still on the Fiat hustle and the bustle. Got cats in the bag like ruffles, airtight. Use fair fright, martial law hype. If you get behind bars, they won't send a kite. Still no answer, no email, no tweeting. I will get mad, but not even. Get wise with the quickness, ability, quickly nimble. Won't stumble or tremble. Finding out I got played like cymbals. Dirty Moor selling you your own Morris symbols and crystals. No different than trees and reeds and toes missile. Drew Ali said study, 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 so you don't get enslaved or played by your own buddy. Giving money to a gold digging dummy. State hopping dirty Moors, rob you out your dirty drawers. Souls perfect in fools' bodies. Setting up a PayPal, smiling broadly. Those types don't even know what's coming. Cause when I see them, it's expose time, no running, no gunning. I was told get wise. Dirty people giving weasel evil eyes. Picking up the cell to call. I get nervous cause I know what's up after I heard this.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again. We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again.